not going to wait till the end of the video to say this. Single-handedly, the most important piece of advice I could ever give anyone is that being detail-oriented is probably the best characteristic anyone can try and develop as a skill. Why is that so important? Because it plays out in everything. It plays out in your job, your relationship, health, mental well-being, everything. It plays out in everything. So being detail-oriented, it's just a wonderful characteristic to have. And it's something that's worth investing in because it will help you just live a better life. Like, you'll probably work out more, you'll probably eat better, you'll probably make more money, you'll probably do better at your job, you'll probably be a better person in your relationship if you're very detail-oriented. So if you treat that as like a really important thing, you invest time into it. Why is it important? Let's just look at like practical examples here. Okay, so me as a software developer, my profile as a software developer, what I've come to realize, I am by no means an expert, and I'm like a junior developer, right? But I pay attention to people who are really, really, really good in my field. I pay attention to them because I try to see what they're doing, and I try to recreate it in my life so I can get really good. And what I've noticed is these people who are really good usually have an incredible memory. They're able to remember the details of problems really, really well. Like, it doesn't take them any time at all to go from point A to point B. Like, they know, boom, boom, boom. This is how you get there. And then if you ask them to stop anyway, try and get to stop halfway between those points, they also know that step. And then stop halfway between those points, they also know that step. So here's practical advice on how you can really, I can't compete with that, man. I gotta tell you, I was a horrible student in high school. My Spanish teacher told me I would never learn a language ever again. Well, they told me I would never learn a language, okay? My chemistry teacher told me I'm not cut out for science, that I would never pass science. And I did so horribly. I mean, I will say a lot of that was on them not liking me because I was doing badly in the beginning, and then they just completely gave up, which is really, that's just the story of my high school. But more importantly, so these people told me this stuff, and I really did believe them, and so I just did horrible. How did I overcome that? Well, I had to relearn how I was learning, and one of those things that I had to do was when I went to Argentina. I speak fluent Spanish now. Hablo castellano fluido. I speak fluent Spanish. I got a degree in physics, so I'm not like a messiah of advice or wisdom, but I have overcome some things that seemed impossible to overcome in my life, like learning a language or getting a degree in physics. Those seemed impossible at one point, and then I did it. And the way that I did it was I really focused on the details of learning. And so what I noticed is people who have very good memories are really good at learning. And the way that I overcame that was I started reading books like a psycho, and I started writing everything down because my memory, not great. Might as well throw it out the window. So what do? I replace it with a pencil and a piece of paper, and I write everything down, and I explain it back to myself over and over and over again. Write it down. Okay, how do you get from this point to this point, Evan? Oh, you gotta do this, 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 this. Nope, you're wrong. Look, you missed this step. So go back over it again, over and over and over again. So I get the details of how to do something down really well, because I know if I invest that time up front, it's like predicting the future. When you see it again, it doesn't cost you as much energy to figure it out. Like, you already have built up this cache of information that you have in your head. If you don't know what cache is the reason why Google Chrome is faster if it's been opened before. It just keeps on recycling the stuff that you've already had open. So if you've already been exposed to all this information, you already put an effort up front to learn the details of something really, really, really well. Even though it sucks in the moment and it's just not fun and it feels like it's pointless, if you just put in that time, it's going to pay off later because it's not going to cost you as much to go back through all of it. I can't emphasize that any more than I already am. So if you're in a situation like me, where you're not the smartest person, you're not the most talented person, one way that will work. I know there's like, all these people have got like hacks. Okay, great. What does work is repetition. And I'm telling you that from experience. Repetition and explaining things back to yourself will work. You just have to sit there and you have to find enough time. So maybe you only sleep 6 hours a night. That's what I do. Got to do it because I'm not the smartest person in the world. I got to put in like double the effort to actually get concepts, to understand stuff. And I'm willing to only get 6 hours of sleep a night. So I would say to overcome not having a great memory and to develop a detail-oriented mindset, to be able to be very detail-oriented in your life, commit a lot of time to whatever you're trying to learn. Create, a very solid block of time for whatever you're trying to learn. Write down everything that you think is important and ask yourself questions, and then explain the thing back to yourself. Explain that concept back to yourself so that you can walk yourself through a problem. And if you mess up, don't feel bad. It's not a big deal. You're probably going to mess up 20, 30 times. But then, if you do that for eternity and you're trying to explain this thing back to yourself, eventually you're going to have to find some way to understand the concept so that you can get from point A to point B. That's the most important thing. Just try and think, how do I get from this part to this part? So if it's a song, if you're playing music, for me, what I do is I play the song forward, I play a song backward. I write out the sheet music, I write out the notes. I try and do everything I possibly can to understand it, because understanding these little details is going to make it easier later on. So you develop maturity, and then it becomes easier, and then you don't have to do it all the time. So like for me, I was never very good at math, but go ahead and, if I had to, solve, I don't know, like a first order differential equation, like I know what the characteristic equation is, and I know that that's something I could probably use, probably going to be e to the RT something, and like just from experience, I've seen it so many times that I know how to do it. I don't need to go back through and derive all of that stuff. So I really hope that people take this practical advice that I'm saying here. Please commit time to whatever you're trying to do. Write everything down, ask yourself questions, and explain those questions. Explain the problem back to yourself. Don't wait for other people to ask you. Don't wait for someone to tell you to write it down. Don't wait for someone to tell you to learn it. Just go do those things, because you have to take the initiative on yourself if you're not smart enough to be able to just keep up with it in the moment. For me, I don't know. Honestly, at this point in my life, intelligence is a very vague thing to me. It really is, because I thought I had a very clear understanding of intelligence when I was younger. I thought it was like, someone who gets good grades in school. And that still is true. That still is true. But it's like an evolving thing for me of what is intelligence, because there's so many different capacities of intelligence now that I'm aware of, that I can't just quantify it as one thing. So what I do is I think if you see something that you like and you want to, whether you think that person's intelligent, whatever, it doesn't matter. Or you think you have to be intelligent to do it, it doesn't matter. If someone has a skill that you like, you got to see what are the characteristics they have. And if you have those things in common, then just use those. But if you don't, you got to find ways to overcome those handicaps. And so one of those for me has always been people who are good at anything, are very detail oriented. An athlete, a salesperson, a politician, a mathematician, a scientist, what do they all have in common? What do all really good versions of those people have in common? They have impeccable detail orientation. They're very, very, very detail oriented. They know the details of everything. The really, really good ones. The mediocre ones, there's definitely problems where they didn't put in the effort to learn the edge cases, and so they're not going to go out there, they're not going to go out to that edge, and they're not going to understand the problem out there. They're not going to understand the halfway point between A and B. They're going to get A to B, that's it. And I hope I don't sound too pompous and pious. I'm really not trying to be that type of person. I'm just trying to share stuff that was helpful to me, because I never thought I would speak a foreign language. Never. I never thought I would get a degree in physics. Never thought. Never thought I'd be a programmer. Nope. Never thought I'd play guitar. Mm-mm. Man, I never even thought I'd be able to run a mile under 12 minutes. Sometime I gotta put up some photos from my childhood. I really do. Yeah. Because I'm not, some amazing athlete or politician or anything, but I'm just a normal person who's overcome a lot of obstacles. And man, I just love seeing it when other people do it too. It's so cool. It's so cool to watch someone go from being like really obese and fat and just upset with themselves to getting in shape and feeling great about themselves, or watching someone who has always admired classical guitar and then just putting in the effort and learning how to play the songs that they listen to and having a deeper appreciation to it. I love it. That's why I tutor. That's why I make videos like this. That's why I put out videos on C programming, because it's just, there's nothing greater than that. So if you watch this video and if you do this stuff and you start to see it working, just reciprocate it back out to other people. That's it. Just do it. Just keep on reciprocating and help them up the ladder. That's all. All right. Hope everyone has a wonderful Friday. Take care.